So listen, Hollywood Unlocked fans, supporters, loyalists, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be talking about self-love during quarantine. I think a lot of people really focus on, I think, I've seen this meme going around a lot saying if you haven't developed like a new skill, or you haven't, gotten a fucking degree, you haven't done all these things while you're in quarantine, then you lack discipline and you're basically useless. And I think that that's like one of the worst things. Like, it's a lot of pressure to put on us during a really stressful time in all of our lives. We're worried about our health. We're worried about the health of our loved ones that, sometimes we might not be able to be in the company of. We worry about the health of, like, maybe our elderly parents or grandparents or whatever the case is. So I think that it's best to, really kind of focus inward and take a little bit of time to do some analysis about how we are doing physically, emotionally, mentally. What do you think about that?
No, I agree, Melissa. And I just want to make sure I said my name. My name is Olanike Osi. So Olanike Osi.
Okay, that sounds like a song.
It's like Ola, and then Ni as in Ni, and then K. So Olanike, but Olanike Osi. And I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Goddess Detox, which is a women's holistic company, as well as Selfish Babe, which is a personal development company for women. And so I have seen what you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, I get both sides of it. I get both sides. I get the part that a lot of people are really anxious. And right now, just being able to stay at peace and have less stress during this time is really important. But then I also get the people that's like, oh, well, you've been talking about doing your dreams for so long. You've been talking about doing this business for so long. Well, you have the time now. Now, I don't think that people should be shamed for relaxing. I don't think that people should be shamed for wanting to watch Netflix and not really wanting to think about what's happening, because, some people's everyday livelihood is on the line during this time. And so they're stressed. They got their kids at home. They got their man at home or their woman at home. Everybody's at home. And so they're just trying to get through every day. And so I understand both sides. And so for me, I think the best that we can do is take it one day at a time. But I do think that, especially women, we can take some action in our self-care, because as we do have this time here, I think that this is a wonderful time for people to go within and really understand and search for their own inner happiness. And sometimes we were talking about without this situation, a lot of times it was get up and go, get up and grind. Do. And so when people are taking that time now to relax and simply be with themselves, that's okay. And people shouldn't be ashamed for that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We've actually advertised Goddess Detox on Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored, the podcast. And I've seen ads everywhere. I've seen you've gotten like really incredible reviews. So I'm just wondering what inspired you to create like a holistic, organic line of feminine healthcare products? Like, what drove you to do that?
So in the beginning, when I had first started my business, I had started it because I was raising money to go to a trip abroad during grad school. And at that time, I was selling T-shirts and shea butters, and it wasn't women focused at all. It was men and women. And then during that time, when I was 22, I was reading a book that I always recommend every woman to read. It's called Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. And Queen Afua is an elder in the community, a holistic health practitioner. And talks a lot about women's wellness as well as women's womb wellness when it comes to the womb, the uterus, and the vagina, because a lot of times as women, we do not focus on our vaginas. We have a disconnection when it comes to our vaginas. And so as I was reading this book and going through the book, because it's not a book that you kind of just read, it's a book that you have to do as a group. I was in a women's circle. And during time that I was in a women's circle, we would talk about our past, sexual trauma that we've gone through with our vagina, and just kind of got to know each other. And even that book, Queen Afua, had talked about crystals, affirmations, altars, connecting with African ancestry, because for me at that time, that's something that I resonated with a lot, as well as just ancestors in general, and the power of the words, affirmations, the things that you say to yourself, colors, etc., herbs. And so for me, I stumbled upon the Goddess Vaginal Detox Pearls, which is what I call them now. And for me, I used them, I enjoyed them, and I was have other women use them, and I got to see how great the Goddess Vaginal Detox Pearls worked for them. And that's kind of what led me to calling my company Goddess Detox and shifting from men and women to just women, because for me, I already know here my purpose, one of my purposes here is
Mm-hmm.
to really work with women and help women. And so that's why I focus on having the company Goddess Detox focus primarily on women. And we do have feminine care products, but we are going to be expanding, because for me, it's really about the physical, spiritual, and the emotional cleansing of women,
Yeah.
not, not just the physical, because this life is more than just the physical.
Yeah. No, I'm really proud of you for, starting a business that's actually something that you're really passionate about. People think that your passion needs to be driven by money. And of course, we need money in order to function in life, but it's really good if you're, it's just a lot more powerful. There's a lot more meaning involved in your work when you have a personal stake in it. So I wanted to talk to you about your app called Selfish Babe. It's a free self-love app for everybody out there. And you can download that right now it's in the Apple App Store and Google Play, correct?
Yeah, it's on both.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about Selfish Babe, because most people think that the word selfish is a bad word, but it's really not, I mean, like, it's focusing on yourself. You cannot pour into somebody else's cup if yours is empty. You know what I'm saying? So tell us a little bit about the development of the app and, how it even began and where it is now.
Yeah, so for me, as I got more into my spiritual practice, as well as my personal development practice, reading books on the law of attraction, manifestation, and I'm really, 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 really understanding and honing in on the power of my word, I realized that even through Goddess Detox, every Thursday I'll go on live and just do kind of like live chats and talk to the women. And I noticed that even though we can have, a self-love inspired product, because I call my products from Goddess Detox self-love inspired, that doesn't mean that just because you're using something that's supposed to resonate with self-love, that you actually understand what that is, that you actually know what that is. Because for me, what I was learning that it's more of a mind thing. It's more about, what do I think of myself? What are the actions that I'm taking for myself? And so one day, real story, I was on a toilet and I was like, what do I want to call this? Because I had an idea and I was like, what do I want to call this? And I was like, I want to call it Selfish Babe. And the reason I wanted to call it Selfish Babe, again, but apart from just that, I wanted to start with why I even started it. I was doing a lot of like personal development and coaching. And during that time, I was like, I just want everything to be in one spot on the phone. Like every time I had to get my laptop, pull it out, type something to log in. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want just everything to be on the phone. And I was like, we have our phones with us every single day. Why not have something that sends a notification, an affirmation, a thought that reminds me to put self-love first? And so when we're talking about self-love, when we're talking about selfish babe and being selfish, when people think of selfish, automatically what they're thinking is, dang, why are you being so selfish? Why are you keeping everything for yourself? It's in a negative connotation. The energy around it is very negative. The energy around it is not fulfilling of a person. And so when I thought about Selfish Babe and coming up with that, for me, I wanted it to be an empowering word. I wanted women to hear, I'm selfish and I'm okay with that. I'm choosing myself and I'm okay with that. Because if I was honestly thinking to myself, if I'm focusing on myself, if I'm focusing on getting my shit together, on getting my healing together, I'm being a whole person, I'm thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about anybody else. And for selfish, because it's not thinking about anybody else. And for me, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because it's like, if you're selfish and you're thinking about yourself, your cup, or whatever you want to call it, yourself, is going to flow, and that overflow is going to help humanity. And so talking about women being selfish, I think that women being selfish is going to end up helping humanity, because from when we're taught from young, we're taught to overgive, to overextend, to always be the supportive one, even if we're not being supported. And so a lot of times, many women can get angry during, different times of anger and say, but I gave you all of this. I did all of this. I did all of this. And they're mad that they did. It's like, well, you did choose to do that. And so what I'm teaching women, especially through my app, Selfish Babe, is for you to focus on yourself, to do your shit, to be selfish as fuck, unapologetically, and you're still going to be a whole human being. That doesn't mean, I say this often, just because you're selfish, it doesn't mean you can't be giving. Just because you're selfish doesn't mean you can't be compassionate. It's like automatically people think selfish and think you're a rude, mean ass person, and it doesn't have to be that at all.
it's mutually exclusive concepts, you know, being selfish in order to take care of self and being an asshole, two very, very different things. And I don't want men to think that they're discluded from this conversation. We'll definitely have a male empowerment expert come on Hollywood Unlocked to talk to everybody, because I mean, it's a human thing to need to pour into yourself, feed your own soul and your own spirit in order for you to give back to others. But this is just a focus on the women because it's an app that they can download. So I encourage all the girls over here on the page right now to download Selfish Babe and check it out. It's a free app download, and I went on it. I think it's amazing. I've already downloaded it myself. So listen, give everybody, 3 to 5 suggestions as to how they can show themselves a little bit more care during quarantine. What are some of the things, that you're doing for yourself?
So for me, when I thought about quarantine and self-love, these are some of the things that I have been doing for myself. And I like to preface the things that I'm going to say with saying that I'm a very spiritual woman. I'm not religious at all, but very spiritual. But everything that I say is applicable to whatever you practice for yourself.
Okay.
And first thing that I came up with is cooking food and praying over your food. And when I say pray, I don't mean that that's connected to any type of religion at all. I'm not saying that. When I say pray, I like to use affirmative prayer. And for me, what affirmative prayer is speaking things into existence as if they're already here, because I understand the power of my words. And for those of you who are new to the power of your words or anything around you, everything around you has some type of energy and some type of happening. The words that I right now, my thoughts, my ideas, my intentions are all on a vibratory level. And so I'm saying, hey, I'm successful. When I'm saying that I feel good, when I'm saying that I'm safe, I'm protected, I am healthy, which is some affirmations I have been using during this time of quarantining. Even if I have to go out to the grocery store, I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm healthy. That is affirming in me that energy already. And so when I'm saying to pray over your food or use affirmative prayer, that is what I'm saying. But when I say cook your food, that may seem like work. That's not self-love. That's not self-care. But for me, I like to tell people that back in the day, I used to say that I hated cooking. And the reason I hated cooking is because I was always rushing to do something else. But I'm not rushing to do anything else. I actually really enjoy cooking. And ancestors really enjoy that I do the cooking as well. And so when I say cook for yourself, what I'm saying is like, think about a meal that you want to make, right? Think about a meal that you want to make. Think about the nourishment that's going into your body. Go to the grocery store and pick out those foods and those items with love. Then home, because the prayer is already starting. And this is what I'm saying, your energy, the energy that you're even going to the grocery store to pick the food that you want, and not from a place of rush, but from a gratitude and from a place of joy and from a place of knowing that this food is going to be healing your body and adding nourishment into your cells, especially during a time like this. And so for me, the prayer has already started. The prayer has started from the action that you're doing. So once you go to get those foods and you start preparing your meal, you may want to play some music. I like to play my parents are Jamaican. I like to play some reggae, some dance hall, some Motown music. And sometimes I'll play some gospel because I know that my ancestors love some gospel, so I'll play that. And I'll sing my songs over my head as if while I'm cooking. Why? Because a lot of times when we're cooking or anybody is cooking, a lot of times we're rushing around. That's the energy to our meal. We're not adding love and light. We're not adding the things that's going to do so well, that's going to make our body heal. We're not doing it, we're rushing. And so cooking from a place of joy, when you're dancing, when you're twerking in the kitchen, when you have somebody in there with you, maybe you guys stage the area, maybe you guys cleanse the space already, but you want to cook from a place of joy because that energy is going to go into the food. And as that energy is going into the food, that's going to go into your body, and that's going to go into your energetic body. A lot of times we only talk about the physical aspect of doing everything, but there is an unseen world. There's an energetic side of things. Before things are physically, there is a spiritual side to it. There's an unseen world. And so woman, as my first tip is to cook your food and to pray over it. I say that because we're usually always rushing. So food, what I like to do is I like to say my affirmation. So let's say I'm making a soup. I'm going to stir that soup clockwise because I'm bringing things into my life. Clockwise. bringing things into my life, and I'll say, whoever is eating this food, make sure that it's nourishing themselves. Make sure that they are healthy. Make sure they are clear in their goals. Make sure that they have the energy for their goals. Make sure that they know that they love themselves. And I say, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Or who, if I'm making a meal for somebody or even my ancestors, make sure that the souls and spirits eating this food know that they love themselves. They are feeling joy. May they see joy. May they know joy. May they hear joy. And so speak like that over my food, because then after that, I'll serve it. I'll serve myself. I serve my ancestors. I'll serve my loved ones. And then we have the meal. And when we have the meal, we're sitting together. We're talking. If you're by yourself, sit with yourself. Eat the meal. Play some good music. And during that time, I would say to not watch anything. You can watch your Netflix and all the other things later, because I don't want you to be distracted from that is still going into your food, because even while you're eating, that is still part of the prayer. The prayer is after your meal has complete. So that's one thing that I would say for my first thing is to cook, to pray over your food, and you do not have to be religious to do that, because there's a spiritual everything. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
My second thing would be to take a spiritual bath. So yeah, let me start this way. Usually in our everyday lives, we are interacting with a lot of people.
And we're interacting probably with a lot of energy vampires.
Exactly.
Everybody needs to be very aware of how often you are in the company of somebody who's stealing your energy. We're all energy. Everything is made of energy. We're like, we vibrate on frequencies. And you could literally be in the company of people who are vibrating on a much lower frequency than you are, and they can rob you of your energy. Have you guys ever been around people that after you left them, you literally feel like a burden has been lifted off of your shoulders? Like you have to you take a sigh of relief that you are no longer in that like toxic energy. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. I know quite a few energy vampires that I cannot stand being around. But go on with the spiritual bath. Talk to us about that.
I'm affirming you don't have to hang out with them much. I understand that. So if you do, unfortunately, have to hang out with energy vampires, and usually sometimes we're just interacting with people that we may not want to be around sometimes, and that can be through work in different arenas, right? So because we're interacting with these people, sometimes a lot of people are dealing with things that we don't know of. We don't know the burden they're carrying, of course. And sometimes even if you got into on a phone or an argument with somebody or a loved one, that can really bring your energy down. You may feel sad. You may feel overwhelmed, especially during a time like this. You may even feel very anxious and very stressed, So that some people are dealing with mental wellness during this time, right? And so for me, I recommend taking a spiritual bath, because that is going to help with your mental wellness. Now, how do you do this? Because I know a lot of people are thinking when I say spiritual bath, I'm just talking about the bathtub and that's it. You're just thinking Epsom salts, water, some roses, that's it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I want you to get this herb, and it's called basil. Basil is a wonderful herb. It's a wonderful energetic cleanser. It cleanses off negative energy. It cleanses off low vibrations. It is a wonderful spiritual. You can get fresh basil from the grocery store or dry basil. Now, again, the prayer is already starting, because you're about to shop for this basil for your spiritual wash, aka spiritual bath. Get your basil for that. If you're stressed, if you're feeling very anxious, get your lavender. Dried lavender is really good because it's going to help with anxiety during this time. And I had just posted on my page recently benefits of lavender or lavender essential oil. Bring that to your home. When you have the dried basil or the fresh basil, I want you to get spring water. Spring water. I don't recommend tap water. I don't recommend distilled water. I recommend spring water, because even if we're not outside, going out to the river, I'm gonna let y'all know sometimes I go out there to the river and I get the fresh river water. But if you're not doing that, then you want to get your spring water, because you want to kind of still have it connect to nature. Get your spring water, you're gonna get your basil. You're going to pour that basil into the water, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hands like this, and you're gonna start rubbing the basil, the dried basil, the fresh basil into the water. As you are doing that, I want you to put your intention into the bath. I want you to think, wow, I'm making this bath to clear out negative, unwanted energy. I want to put myself in high vibrations. Pray over your bath. You are the source. You are the person that is putting the magic, that is putting the pizzazz into your bath that is going to cleanse you. So I need you to pray over your bath, rub the herb and the water together, have that in a separate bowl. Take that bowl, go to the bathtub. Now, if you're a person like I want to relax, that's cool. Run your bath water,
Mm-hmm.
Epsom salt, add your roses, add your Dead Sea salt, add some essential oils, and take your bath, because
Mm-hmm.
that help with your mental wellness too. But after you are done with soaking in a bath and drinking that, what was in your bowl, I need you to now take the bowl. If you have a white rag, use that. If you don't have a light colored rag, just use your hands. And I say light colored because we want to keep the vibrations high.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're going to do now is you're going to take that water that you pray over, and I like to say affirmations again while I'm taking that water, and I'm going to rinse it over my body. I'm going to go downward like this because I am washing off the energy. I'm washing stuff away from me, which is why my hand motion is like this. And I'm going to do that everywhere. And now
Mm-hmm.
for women, if you are in this house during this time, if you can get to your hair, your real hair, take that bath water and dump it over your head. And I'm gonna tell you, especially if it's cold water, you put that water in the fridge for a little bit, you are going to feel so amazing.
It
So
sounds
amazing.
great.
So
It sounds
blessed.
great. Like I'm gonna go do it now, like after we get off the phone.
I tell you, like, it's gonna be cold, but
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna feel so good, and you're gonna be like, wow, I didn't know that I needed that. Because
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're washing your head, a lot of times we have so much thoughts that do not serve us, so much worry, so much anxiety, so much stress,
Mm-hmm.
so much, thinking of the bad. But we have to get into a habit of thinking of the good, of thinking of faith, of thinking of belief. But sometimes you have to wash that away first. And your head, you're thinking of this stuff all the time. When you wash that away, you're cooling down your head, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that I needed that. And then after that, I pat dry off just lightly, and then step in. I like to tell my ladies this sometimes: step into something light colored or white, light colored or white. If you have something sexy, like a sexy nightgown, you could do that, because sometimes I like to be in my sexy nightgown,
Mm-hmm.
orange or pink, and then you're going to go to bed. And I say go to bed or do something very light, because after this, you don't really want to interact with a lot of other people, a lot of different energy, because you're just working on raising your vibration. So even when you go to bed, you want to make sure that you're going to bed in a peaceful state. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you may have a dream, right? You may have a dream. You may ask to have a dream for some guidance, right, from your spirit guides or from whoever it is that you believe in. And in the morning, you want to have your journal to the side of your bed, and you want to take some notes if you do remember that dream. But I'm telling you, you wash off with that basil water. And if you're stressed and anxious, the lavender,
Mm-hmm.
you feel so good. So that's my second self-care tip, is to take a spiritual bath.
Okay. Number 3.
All right. So for number 3, while we are quarantining, again, we're usually on the go, go, go. We're usually on the grind, grind, grind.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, especially when it comes to self-love, a lot of women don't think about what they want. They just think about the next day. They
Mm-hmm.
think, about, what am I going to do the next day? And sometimes it's always like, I have to be superwoman. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our dreams are pushed to the side.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this time of quarantine, I really want the women to think about what it is that you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What that you want for your life. What is it that's actually going to make you happy? Are you happy right now? Because, I think a lot of people are realizing that they weren't really happy at their jobs, that they're actually enjoying some time with their family. And they're like, how can I get a lifestyle like this, but on the daily? Because when quote unquote get back to normal, which they will not be normal, I hope that we have settled that in our spirits. They will not be quote unquote normal. It will be different.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I want women to take the time to themselves and to journal and to write some things down of like what they actually want their life to be. How do you want to wake up? How do you want your life to be? What do you actually like to do? What are some passions that maybe you had back in the day that you don't do anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some time to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
say that and taking the time for self, because again, we're so used to the go, go, go that even during this quarantine, we may just be distracting ourselves. I'm all for relaxation. I'm all for the Netflix and the chilling. I'm all for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also all for my healing. I'm also for my wellness. And I understand the importance of quiet time and downtime and knowing myself. And so I want women, especially, to take this time to get to know themselves during this time. And a lot of times you just have to write that down. You have to how that looks. You have to write down your affirmations. You can write down your goals, but I don't want you to beat yourself up about them. Just write them down. Just put them on paper to know that that's what you like. So what you don't like. So that's my other thing, is to understand more of what you want. Write it down. Number 4, my fourth one is something that I've been enjoying lately. I am an Aquarius, and my moon is in Sagittarius, and I'm a rising Leo. And so I just learned this yesterday from my girlfriend. She was like, all your signs are masculine. And I was like, really? And a lot of times growing up, my energy was very masculine. And when I say very masculine, I mean, if I want something, I'm going to go get it. I'm an action-oriented person. I'm going to go get it no matter what. I was used to it very well in school, thought about my business, thought about my business. It's here. But what I'm doing now, right now I'm 28, what I'm learning is to get more into my divine feminine energy, get more into my receiving energy, to get more into my, I don't have to work that damn hard, to get into my intuition. And so I've been tapping more into my divine. I think that a lot of women watching this, for one of their self-care tips is to tap into that divine feminine energy. Again, because we are taught to be super women. And a lot of that's working in the masculine energy, and there's an imbalance. What about her? What about just receiving? What about leaning in on your intuition versus you listening to other people? And so what you can do to tap into your divine feminine energy is something creative. So sometimes I don't have any, but sometimes I like to do my makeup, and that's a recent thing for me. That's a recent thing for me because like, oh, this is a form of art for me. I get to create. I get to try these new colors out and see how they look. And a bitch ain't going nowhere. A bitch gonna go walk down the street.
No. Sometimes we have got to just do those things for ourselves. You know, people think, a lot of guys always say, you know, girls don't really get dressed up for guys, they get dressed up for each other, you know. But no, the thing is, sometimes we have to think about why we do these things. Even just putting on makeup, putting on a head wrap, you know, just these kinds of things that bring us joy. What is it that makes you happy? And sometimes it's like, I want to look good for myself because I like the reflection that I see, you know. So I agree with you there.
Ashe. So I would say sometimes for me it's putting on makeup. On Fridays especially, it's the day of Venus. It's a day of love. It's a day of Oshun, the goddess Oshun, which is the goddess of love, success, money. And for that day on Fridays, I like to dress up. I like to put on a nice dress, a nice two-piece. I like to maybe do my makeup. I like to put on some perfume oil, some natural-based perfume oils like jasmine. You could put a little lavender on, maybe a vanilla oil, something that smells really sweet, super fragrant. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're attracting more sweetness into our life. Yes, we're attracting more abundance into our life, more success into our life. And so when we have those reminders, when we have the beauty that we see in front of us, when we feel good, when we look good, when we smell good, you're telling the universe, God, creator, that's what the fuck I want more of. I want more of this in my life, because you are already embodying that. And sometimes I'll sing mantras that I find on YouTube in the language called Sanskrit, or sometimes I'll sing songs. And so if you're a woman that is knowing that I like this song right now, I like to whine. You know, my parents are Jamaican, so I listen to a lot of dance hall, reggae, and soca. I like to whine my waist. You guys can do that to tap more into your divine feminine energy. You guys can twerk to tap more into your divine feminine energy. Why? Because when you're moving your hips, you are working on your sacral chakra. And so you are moving your booty and all of that, that's juiciness, that's flowing, that is helping your womb, that is helping your uterus. And so those are some tips to help tapping into your divine feminine energy. So number 5, this is the last one, and this goes into the vaginal steam. And my 5th one is doing a vaginal steam. It's sitting your vagina over some herbs. And why is that important? I did a yoni breathing video on YouTube, but your vagina as woman is connected to your crown chakra. It's connected to higher wisdom. It's connected to the creator. And you have to clear that connection. Mm-hmm. And so for women, when they are sitting over their vaginal steam, and I'm going to explain what that is, when you're sitting over your vaginal steam, you are clearing out that channel. Mm-hmm. You're clearing out that channel, and you're taking some time to connect with your vagina, which a lot of times we don't connect with our vagina. Our partners are connecting with vagina. Our gynecologists are connecting with our vagina, but we're not doing that ourselves. We don't even take a mirror and look down into our yoni lips. We don't do that at all. We don't speak affirmations into our vagina. We don't speak love into our vagina, into our womb area. And yet we have all these things of fibroids and PCOS and painful menstrual cycles because we are neglecting our vaginas. And so I like to tell women, especially during this time, I say quarantine and steam. Quarantine and steam, because a lot of times people will tell me, wow, Olenike, I don't have enough time to take 20 minutes to sit my vagina over the herbs. Really? You have the time now.
Now you do.
Now, okay?
Now you do.
So I want to explain to the women that don't know what a vaginal steam is. A vaginal steam is an indigenous practice that women have done for centuries. Mm-hmm. Vaginal steaming is not recommended by your gynecologist. So when people ask you, is the gynecologist going to recommend this? They're probably not going to recommend this. Mm-hmm. But this is an indigenous cultural practice that many women in Latin cultures, Caribbean cultures, and African cultures have done for a very long time, especially after the birth of a child. Mm-hmm. Now, what is that? Again, it's connecting to spirituality. It's connecting to energy. It's taking herbs, putting them in a pot of hot water, and letting them simmer. As the herbs are simmering, the medicinal properties of those herbs are coming into the steam. Mm-hmm. As the woman is sitting over her pot, and I have my queen's throne right here from Goddess Detox, as she's sitting over her pot, right? That medicinal property, those medicinal properties of the herbs is going directly into her vagina. She's putting a towel, or she has a long dress on to sit over the pot so that the steam stays in. And that's going to clear up blockages, especially for the women that are dealing with the fibroids, the PCOS, the heavy menstrual cycles. You are taking that time to connect with yourself. You are taking that time to release exes. I like to say detox your ex, and people laugh. But again, having sex with another person is an exchange of energy. A lot of times we are holding on to our past partners, and we don't even know it. And we don't even know because we have not cleared that energy. So vaginal steaming is also good for detoxing your ex and clearing that energy. And so what I have the Queen's Vaginal Steam from goddessdetox.org, as well as the seat that you can use. You can find more information at Goddess Detox or goddessdetox.org. But you have the herbs, you have the seed, and you're clearing your channel directly to source. You're clearing your channel to your higher wisdom, to your intuition as a woman. Women are very motherfucking powerful, but we don't know our own power. And I want to make sure that women reconnect and understand their power. And a lot of that time, it's through your vagina and it's through your uterus. And a lot of people tell me, oh, what if I've had a hysterectomy? You still have that channel. You still have that power. You can still do a vaginal steam. Because what Queen Afua has said is the spirit of your womb is still there. And so I don't have no excuse for any woman that says, I can't do a vaginal steam. You don't have to have anything wrong with you to do a vaginal steam. It's just connection.
Right.
That's my
I know.
tip.
Yeah, no, you are a just a firecracker. I love it. Thank you so much. I mean, I've literally been writing notes while you were talking. I've got basil, lavender, spring water, eucalyptus. I'm going to the store to go actually pick up those ingredients so that I can give myself a spiritual bath. You're absolutely right about cooking with intention, picking, hand selecting the ingredients, and then talking to your food and pouring positive affirmations into your food while you're preparing it. These are some excellent tips that you've given everybody. I want to encourage everybody to go to Selfish Babe, the app in the Apple App Store and also Google Play. It's a free app to download. And then just kind of get your self-love on. And also if you want to log on to selfishbabe.com or goddessdetox.org to find out more information about her products, I advise you to do so. You've got all the time in the world to do so. So now the time to figure out the best ways to love yourself. Guys, we're not going to leave you out of this conversation. I promise you we're going to have a male empowerment expert, but I don't know if he's going to come anywhere close to the amount of knowledge you just dropped today. You literally have just set my course for the weekend, and I'm so happy. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Problem. I definitely have somebody I can recommend for the males that is on this spiritual high vibe shit. Okay, I definitely have some.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, let's pass that information once we get off. I can't thank you enough. We're gonna post this live. It's gonna stay up for everybody for the next 24 hours, so you'll be able to find out all the links that I just said. But again, thank you so much. You are just amazing. Like I'm about to go give myself like a goddess detox.
Yeah. Thank you, love. Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
Of course. Okay. Bye, everybody.